This is New Indie Central with Will.
Hello everyone and welcome to the New Indie Central podcast. I'm Will and my guest today is Gracie Hall, who is a concert photographer. And if you're interested in photography, Taylor Swift, and also Crocs, I don't really know how we talked about Crocs, but if you like that, don't forget to listen all the way to the end. And if you enjoyed today's podcast, don't forget you can follow us as well so you don't miss an episode. Thanks so much. Enjoy. And welcome to the podcast, Gracie. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks, and you?
I'm alright. So let's start. So people who don't know who you are, could you explain a little bit about yourself?
So I'm Gracie, I'm 20 and I'm from Manchester and I do concert photography and I'm currently in uni studying future media production as well.
Cool. So about concert photography, how cool is it? Because that just seems like such a dream job.
You know what? It is sick, to be fair. It's definitely like a dream come true for me as like someone who grew up going to loads of gigs and stuff, and now I get to like photograph some of my favorite artists and like, you know, be on guest lists for like big shows and stuff, and it never stops being cool to me, to be fair.
So what really inspired you to become a concert photographer?
So I'm not 100% sure. I think the main thing is that I used to go to a lot. Well, I say used to. I still obviously do. I used to go to a lot of gigs as a fan, and music was like a massive part of me growing up. Like, I think the first type of music I was properly into was like, you know, emo stuff and Panic! At the Disco and all that. And then I had a massive K-pop phase, and then I kind of just went into quite general, all sorts of music really. And I just loved music. But then I started to take a little point and shoot cameras, a little Fujifilm that cost me about a tenner from eBay. I took it to 2021 Leeds Fest after like I used to take it out when I went out with my mates in the first year of college, and I just took loads of photos at Leeds Fest, and it was so much fun to me, and I just really liked taking photos of stuff. And then I kept taking my little point and shoot to loads of gigs throughout that year, and then into 2022 and 2023. And then I was like, maybe if I buy a camera, I can actually do something with this. So that's what I did last year, is I bought a camera, and then here we are.
Wow. I mean, that's like such a cool story. Like, earlier this year, I got a little film camera to take for the 1975, and it's just the coolest thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. It's so much fun to like capture the essence of like a concert, especially like from the crowd, which I think is quite an underrated part of photography. Is like I do still like really enjoy like taking photos like from the crowd and not always like from the photo pit, because I like concentrating on like the crowd and the audience and stuff, and like it's just so much fun like being in the midst of it all.
Yeah, and I'd say like, a crowd is one of the most important parts of a gig. So like,
100%.
it's good to get like photos from like the crowd's perspective as well.
Definitely. I've gotten some of my favorite photos from the crowd perspective. It just adds so much atmosphere to it.
Yeah. So I guess let's talk about some of the artists you've shot for. So in case anyone hasn't seen your Instagram, who have you taken pictures for?
Well, the most like recognizable people I've taken pictures of are Zara Larsson, Jason Derulo, Neo, Ash Nico. I've done. Oh, I've currently forgotten everyone I've taken photos of. Holly Humberstone was a recent one, which was really cool. I did Fletcher. I've done Baby Queen, Michael Aldag, James Marriott. They're like the bigger sort of Olave. I can never pronounce her name, unfortunately. They're like the big ones that I've done, but there's loads of like smaller artists that I work with or have taken photos of a few times and stuff. But yeah, they're like the big names, I guess.
And I'd say for people who want to get into concert photography, what's sort of the process of going from being a punter to being in the photo pit?
So the main way that I like kind of made that jump was using my point and shoot photos. I created my own portfolio on a website, which if you've got an Adobe subscription, you've got access to Adobe Portfolio for free. And that's what I still currently use for my portfolio to this day. And I just created a portfolio, and then I found loads of online publications that were accepting photographers, and I just applied to loads of them. I actually only ever heard back from one place. It was a publication called Mellowfowl Media. I unfortunately don't work for them anymore, but they got me my first few shows, and I'm very grateful for that. And in July of last year, after I think I got into the publication in the June, I just applied through them. I emailed the PR for a Eurovision band called Joker Out, who were actually my favourite band in Eurovision that year. And then I got my first photo pass in the July. And I find that publications are like a really nice stepping stone into getting press, like, and PR and stuff, because a lot of them, especially if they've been established, they already have the contacts and they already know what they're doing. You're just joining a team who can kind of guide you through that. But another really good way to start is to just DMing really small bands and saying, can I please take my camera along in exchange for like a ticket, and starting that way, because that's also how I've built up my portfolio. Is unfortunately, it is a lot of free work, especially the first few months, even up to the first few years. But just starting small is a really, really good thing, because you get more confident, and then you also get the right contacts. You know how to contact the right people, and it's just starting small and learning as you go is like a really important thing. But yeah, there's definitely like multiple ways to properly get into it, but publications are a massive one.
And so talking about you shooting for like smaller artists, I'd say, would you have sort of like a connection with them?
Yeah, definitely. Like the first, like, there's a band that I work with quite frequently that's like my best friend's band, a Manchester band called Bowman. And I have now got to the point where like I'm pretty friendly with the entire band. Like I've made friends through them and that whole thing. And it's like, obviously, like when I've photographed for swim school a few times, it's like the community that kind of comes around of people recognizing you, like photographing a certain artist too.
Yeah.
But then when I've like personally worked with an artist, like taken portraits and stuff, like I've recently done with Yasmin Coe, another Manchester-based artist, and took portraits of Alfie Dukes, and then another artist called Ali. You kind of become friends with them in a way, and then they'll contact you like for other things as well, and like they'll support you on social media and stuff. And you do, like, once you start like actually, because there's a difference between like photographing an artist in press and being hired directly by the artist themselves slash management and working with them personally. There is a difference, and I kind of much prefer doing that over the press side, because I much prefer the kind of relationship you build with the artist, the kind of the personality you can kind of feed off with each artist's like individuality. And I find that much more rewarding than a lot of the press stuff. But the press stuff is also how you get the big and exciting gigs and stuff, and it's how you kind of open to opportunities and stuff. So it's nice to do a mixture of both, to be fair.
Yeah, and like you mentioned swim school, like I've got a pretty good connection with them. They're amazing, and
Yeah.
I know you love them and they love you, and it's such like it's so fun having like connections with artists who like support what you do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like swim school, like are so like near and dear to my heart for obviously like many reasons, as you know. But they also gave me a really big. They were the big chance, because they were the third artist I ever photographed. I photographed them supporting Grandson in September of last year, and like ever since then, like they've always just said, if you want to take photos at any gig, like just give us a message. Like you can. Like I photographed them up in Glasgow, which was like the coolest experience. Then recently in Leeds, and then I've actually gotten into press on Leeds Fest, and they're gonna be there. So it's really cool that like it's gonna be their first Leeds Fest at their form now. And it's gonna be my first Leeds Fest to photograph, and we'll kind of get to experience that together, because they've been so supportive of me throughout my whole photography journey, and like have meant like so much to me, because it's like getting a kind message off them like every so often, or like when I send them my photos, and they're just the nicest people, and they're just so supportive. Like it is, I can't gas them up enough. Like Will, you know what I mean? Like they are just the best.
Yeah, what a band! Such amazing people. And even like I had the opportunity to take pictures for them on that same tour with grandson, and
Yes, I remember.
for like that story, I had the camera. I can't remember why I had it, and I think I told Billy, and then I was like, "Do you want to take pictures?" I was like, okay. I don't really know what I'm doing, but yeah, sure." And it was such fun just running along the photo pit, just having the time of my life.
Yeah, I remember when that happened. I remember seeing your photos afterwards. Honestly, like it's so rewarding, especially when you do it for a band who you care a lot about. Like, because I remember I think for the past few times that I've photographed swim school, I think "Kill You" which is my favorite song of theirs, has either been like the third song or like the fourth. And photographing like "Kill You" in the pit is like the most surreal thing because it's literally like one of my favorite songs of all time. And then it's like when I photographed them in Liverpool, I got to photograph them for the three songs and then watch "Kill You" from the crowd with my boyfriend because they let me have a +1 as well. So it's so rewarding, and they've helped me with so many experiences, and they've helped me meet so many people who've been very important part of my journey as well. So they are just the best.
Yeah, and I guess talking about some of the other artists you've photographed as well. Did you really think that you would like take pictures for Jason Derulo at some point in your career? Like that just seemed mental.
Honestly, no. Like, because I did two arena shows in the same week, and they were my first two because they were both with press. And like, I didn't think I'd be reaching like arena level shows for like a good few years. And same with festivals and stuff, like getting approved for Slam Dunk and now being approved for Leeds Fest. Like, if anyone was to ask me at any point on my photography journey, Leeds Fest has always been my end goal. So like to get there with like within like getting approved like not even a year into my journey is like actually the craziest thing like ever to me. And like I kind of set out with no expectations because I'm someone who I'm so in it for just the joy of capturing stuff and for my joy of like music that for me it's not like the big artists that like obviously it's so much fun and it's so cool that I get to photograph them, but it's not like the be all and end all for me. Like the most rewarding gigs have been photographing like my favorite artists or maybe photographing an artist I don't know, but just extremely enjoying the experience that they put on for me and loving the photos that I get out of it. So it's like it's still like the craziest thing. But I just kind of came out with no expectations and I've kind of blown myself out of the water a little bit with what I've managed to do.
Yeah, and I guess let's move on to who is your dream artist that you'd like to shoot for?
Oh my god. Um I feel like quite a reasonable. Oh, I know. 21 Pilots. I've been a massive fan of that band since I was about 12 or 13, and obviously they're going on tour next year, and their most recent album that they've released is like I'm absolutely obsessed with it. But I've been obsessed with them since I was like young. To photograph like for them would be the craziest thing. But another two that I'd love to is Bring Me the Horizon, who I adore, and then Take That. They were like my first like love of a band, and just any of those three. Taylor Swift would also be absolutely fucking insane, but one can dream with her. The other three seem a bit more realistic to me. But any of those, I think I'd cry. I think I'd cry.
Well, you know what? Just manifest it. That's my advice.
Oh yeah, definitely manifesting it.
I'll be manifesting it. I'm sure the listeners will be manifesting it. But
I appreciate it.
yeah, and since you mentioned Taylor Swift, I know you went last week. How was it?
Yeah. Oh my god, it was crazy. Because I went to Liverpool night one and we had standing tickets, which to be fair, we only paid £100 for them each, so we got them for face value. So paying basically £50 to see Paramore and £50 to see Taylor Swift is the best deal I've ever had in my whole life. Because I'm a massive Paramore fan as well.
Me too.
But I think the one thing that I really struggled with was just standing up for that long. Like we were stood up from 4 p.m. until 11 p.m. at night. I was absolutely bloody knackered, but she was fucking fantastic. And honestly, I had the best time ever. Like the surprise songs were amazing. I got mine from Speak Now. That was my favourite one of the surprise ones, which I really wanted. Paramore also did Rose Coloured Boy, which I was absolutely ecstatic about because that's my favourite on After Laughter.
What a song.
And yeah, no, I was honestly like, it is such a good song. I was very, very happy at that moment. But like the production and like how she interacted with the crowd, like everything, the dancers and all of it was just, I've never seen anything like it. And like I've been to, I think 120 concerts now, might be a little bit more than that. I was looking at my concert archive the other day. So I've got a lot of concerts to kind of compare and contrast to, but that might have been one of the like, definitely one of the like the highest levels in terms of just overall package of value for money and the songs that I heard and the dancing and just everything. It was crazy.
Yeah, I'd admit, when I went to see her in Edinburgh, just the production is just crazy, like seeing like all like this different set pieces she had, and just
The
it's crazy.
costumes, like, oh yeah, no, there's a lot of effort that's gone into the Eras tour, 100%. Like, there's so many people who've probably been involved with that. It's like, it's not just, obviously, it's not just her, but it is crazy.
Yeah, and talking about Taylor Swift as well, you took some pictures and they've went sort of viral on Twitter.
Yeah, no, like, the current, like, point and shoot camera I use it's a Lumix DMC TZ40, and I bought it on eBay. I think I bid on it. So I got it for cheaper than I probably should have done. I think it cost me 40 quid. And I think it currently retails for about 100. So when I tell people I got it for 40 quid, I didn't realise that wasn't the actual price of it. But it's still pretty cheap for like a small little camera. Mind you, the zoom on it though is insane. Because like we were close, but we weren't like super, super close.
Yeah.
And I managed to get some photos because I take it with me. Like I can't help myself. I take photos everywhere I go. So I just took a few photos and then I edited them on my laptop on the train home from Liverpool. And then I just posted them on Twitter and Instagram because I thought, why not? And then my Instagram post got 600 likes, which is like a crazy amount of likes for my account. Same my Paramore ones, they got like 300. But then I posted some on Twitter, and on my own account they only got like 20 likes. But then I had the Eras tour photos like account repost them, and last time I checked it was at like 23,000 likes. And I would like, thankfully I've been credited in them because there's some that I haven't, but after DMing a few people I've gotten my credit where it's due.
Yeah.
But it's the same with my Paramore ones, like they've gone everywhere. Like the amount of like impressions, and like I've had some like friends, like when I posted on like one of my stories saying, oh my god, like so many people have seen this, I had some friends go, oh my god, that's your picture, I've seen it everywhere. And I'm like, oh my god, this is kind of crazy. I should have watermarked them because like they're lost forever now. Basically, I've kind of accepted the reach that they've got. Someone's gonna lose my name to it down the line, but at least I know myself I took them because I've got the raw photos. They've only got the edited ones, so no one else can prove that they took them.
Yeah, and those pictures they're fire, and
Thank you.
yeah, I love them. They're amazing.
I appreciate it. I was quite happy with them, to be fair. I thought they'd turn out pretty bad, but they were pretty decent.
When I've seen that the Eras Tour account, I'm not sure if that's Taylor or just a fan, but
It's just a fan, but they've got like 60,000 followers. So in my head, it's the same difference. You know what I mean?
yeah, when I seen that they reposted it, I was like, what? Because that's just like such a big, like it's just getting that reach. Do you know what I mean? It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's why I will always take like my little point and shoot to any like gigs outside of photography I do, because like even though I'm not there on press or it's like not with my proper camera, like people don't realize that if you take photos of certain like really famous people, the reach that it can bring to your account is crazy. So it's like a bunch of free promo. Like the amount of people who have followed me in the past few days, like I think I've gained nearly 100 followers as a result. I've gained like a couple thousand impressions on my account as well. Like, you know, all it takes is a certain person to view your work, and you can get the job that changes everything. So it's always worth it to me to take like my little point and shoot to all my gigs, because I did it for Bring the Horizon as well, and they those photos did really well too. Because even if they don't do well, like I still enjoy taking photos of my experiences. Like it doesn't bother me either way. But it is very rewarding when they do well, obviously.
And it's just like making memories with those photos as well.
Yeah, definitely. So they're always captured and stuff, and I've always got them to look back on as well.
Mm-hmm. So, have you got any tips for anyone who's listening to this and is like, right, I want to become a photographer, but how do I do it?
I think my main tip that I give to people who start out is first buy a little point and shoot, go to gigs, like be sure that you enjoy gigs in general, but also be sure that you enjoy taking photos at them, because I will also say you also there is a massive difference between using a point and shoot and a normal camera. But when I first bought my actual camera, I didn't know how to use it. I didn't know what manual settings were. I didn't know what aperture and exposure and all that. But I will say YouTube tutorials and try make friends who know photography and they can kind of explain it in simple ways. But it's just lots of research goes into it. But also, like I was saying, starting with publications, starting with small artists, and just saying am I alright to bring my camera to your show and just take some photos? Because small artists will want any sort of photos, even if they are shit, for lack of better words. So yeah, it's just starting small and working your way up. But I think a lot of people need to realise quite how much work and effort goes into being a concert photographer. It is very tiring. It unfortunately is very expensive at times. But also, gear doesn't make you. You have to. You can do with bad gear. My camera that I use actually isn't suited for concert photography. It's more of a video camera. But I feel like most people probably wouldn't really know that. So there's just lots of research, speak to people, have conversations. And I think it's something that you need to be pretty sure that you enjoy, because it's so much effort and it's a lot of hard work. And if I didn't enjoy it / find so much joy with it, I think I'd find it a really difficult thing to keep up with. But and also DM photographers, but ask in nice ways, for advice and stuff. Not every photographer will be quite open to giving advice. Some are more than others. I definitely am. I try to answer all my DMs I get from people. I've tried to start posting on TikTok about, tips and tricks and stuff. But yeah, I think that's most of my advice anyways.
Yeah, and finally, if anyone who's listening wants to go check out your work, where can they go see it?
So I mainly operate out of Instagram, and my at's a bit of a weird one, because when I was making it, it was the first three letters of my name, Gracie, and then Croc is in the shoes. But lots of people read it as Grac rock, rock signs, rock music and stuff. So it's kind of both, but it's GRACROC. And I'm pretty much that over all socials, but for Twitter, instead of an O, it's a 0, because somebody already took my username. I'm quite annoyed about that. And then I'm on TikTok as well with the same username.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure if photography somehow doesn't work out, you can just make your account all about Crocs.
Definitely. I love a good pair of Crocs. I think I've owned 20 plus, if not more, over my many years. I love Crocs.
I think the last time I wore Crocs, I was about 5.
I currently have my Crocs sat in my uni room. I'm an avid Croc wearer. I think they're great.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on.
No, it's no worries. Thanks for having me.
And a huge thanks to Gracie for coming on the podcast. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to follow us on social media at New Indie Central Pod, and of course follow the podcast as well. And if you're not already, go follow Gracie on Instagram. Some of her photos are amazing. So yeah, can't hype her stuff up enough.